2013 Masters, Marc Leishman had a front row seat as Adam Scott broke Australia's Augusta hoodoo. Not winning was a disappointment for Leishman, but it was a special day nonetheless.
Yeah, it was definitely bittersweet. It was more sweet, I'd say, than bitter. You know, I still played well, gave myself a chance. You know, there's a couple of shots I would like to have over, but there's not. I wouldn't make a different decision with the shot I tried to play. I just didn't pull the shot off when I hit it in the water on 15. I was trying to make an eagle to get myself right back in it. I don't really remember a whole lot from the first 9 holes. I remember I hold a good putt on 11 to get closer to the lead, and then, wow, it's weird. I remember walking up the fairway on 17. Both me and Scotty had our umbrellas up, and we'd just hit our second shots, both hit them on the green, and we were just talking. I can't remember what we were talking about, but we were just, you know, talking like we normally do, and I feel like we kind of felt a little bit like a team walking up there, I think, which was cool. I really remember that, and obviously when he held that putt on 18, I remember him just, you know, going off, and I remember the high five, and then I remember after the high five that my hand was just ringing and I still had a 4-footer to finish T4. So yeah, a lot of good memories, and just so happy for Scotty that he could, you know, win the Masters. We don't get asked that anymore, which is great at Augusta. I mean, I feel like the imagination around the greens at Augusta, I like that. You know, you need a lot of imagination. I feel like I've got that. And the British Open, I mean, I grew up in the wind, really enjoy that type of golf, and yeah, I think that's my best chance. Augusta's very similar to, especially Royal Melbourne, and here to an extent. You need to manage your game, you need to hit the right side to the fairways, because when the greens get firm, you want to be hitting into the hill of the green, not onto a side slope. You need to really control your spin, trajectory, shape. You need to do all that. Growing up on the sandbelt, I feel like that helps me at Augusta, and also the British Open, because, you know, you've got to shape it into the wind pretty much every hole to control the ball.
It's not the only major heartbreak for the 33-year-old, whose hopes of a claret jug were dashed 2 years later by one bad lie at St Andrews.
That week it was weird. It wasn't long after Audrey had been sick in the hospital, and I was just happy to be on the golf course, to be honest. A week before the Open, if you had said, all right, you're going to be leading on the back nine Sunday, how do you think you'd be feeling? I'll be, you know, nervous. Of course I'll be nervous. When I was in that position, it was weird. I wasn't nervous. I was just concentrating on what I had to do and trying to do it. You know, obviously it was one of the biggest tournaments in the world, and I was leading it. But it wasn't, if I hit a bad shot, it wasn't going to be life or death. Whatever happened, I was still going to be able to go home and see my wife and kids. So I remember a lot about the back nine on Sunday. Probably the most vivid memory is hitting a good tee shot in the playoff and it finishing straight in a divot. It kind of took the wind out of my sails a little bit, because it was probably the one shot on that golf course where you want to have a good lie, because you've got the burn across in front and the pin at the front, and you know, I was on the back foot from there. At the time, I was not that worried about it, because I thought, all right, just get it on the green, 2-putt, make your par, move on. I ended up hitting it to the back edge of the green, which was a decent shot out of the divot, had about 60 feet, and then both Zach and Louis hold their birdie putts. I 3-putt, I'm 2 back. You know, without something special happening, I was pretty much out of the playoff, being 2 behind 2 guys with 3 holes to go. So yeah, that was you know, pretty disappointing, but you know, I'm not one to give up, and kept fighting. It just wasn't good enough.
Leishman says golf's important, but to him, it's not the be-all and end-all.
It can, you know, you've got decisions to make, as everyone does, you know, in life. You can go one way or another. I don't want this to sound bad, but I feel like I could have probably worked harder on my golf game, but I'm really happy with where my life is. I feel like I've got a good balance between golf and family and friends and life, and I wouldn't change anything, I don't think. I'd like to be remembered as a really good person who was a good golfer, not as a golfer who was a, you know, decent guy, I think. But yeah, I think to be the best, you've got to put everything into your sport. You know, like a Tiger Woods or a Jason Day, he's, you know, works so hard, and it pays off for him. You know, it's the stuff off the course. I enjoy a beer. Jason chooses not to, and that's, you know, that's what you have to do, I guess. You know, to look like him, and you enjoy beer and you look like me. But I'm all right with that. You know, I've got 2 young boys, and I want to really enjoy their childhood. I don't want them to get to 15 years old and be like, geez, I haven't seen them grow up. So I feel like family's very important to me, and I've made some decisions in the last few years that I like to try and put my family first and then want to be a successful golfer, but that does come second. You know, I'd love to be a top 10 player in the world. I don't think I'll ever get to, you know, to number one or anything like that, but I think I can, you know, get up into that, you know, top 10 hopefully soon. I think it's been a pretty good year. I probably didn't contend as much as I would have liked. You know, I didn't give myself that many chances, so in that respect it was disappointing, but I made a lot of cuts. You know, I felt like the equipment change was for the better. I felt like my game was better. I definitely drove it a lot better than what I have in the past. It just took a little bit of getting used to with, you know, different lines off tees. Really looking forward to the upcoming year. Obviously it's, you know, it's a dream of mine to play the World Cup, and to play it with Adam Scott is a bonus. A great friend of mine, and at Kingston Heath, which is one of my favourite courses in the world. So, you know, I'm ready to take that next step and win more frequently. So, you know, excited about that, and hopefully we can start it here.